Hello and welcome to Tight Lines. Well, Keith's off sunning himself, so I'm keeping his seat warm in the bothy this week, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jake Wildbore, a good pal of mine, and quite simply, for someone so young, one of the best all-round carp anglers in the business. If he's not fishing for Team England, he's hauling big uns for fun, and I'm sure we're all going to learn plenty from him today. We've also got some great action coming up for you too. Jake and I got together for a session at Walthamstow Reservoirs in London, one of the top day ticket carp venues in the country and home to some absolute crackers. We also got the opportunity to take a trip to the wonderful River Wye in Herefordshire in an effort to catch Jake his first ever barbel, one of my specialities. Jake, welcome to the bothy. First ever time.
It is, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I know you're a little bit nervous, mate. Just chill out and relax. I mean, it's just us two. You know, there's no one else watching.
No, not at all.
How have you been?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Really busy, which is always good.
Yeah, but fishing time for people that work in the industry like you do is very, very limited, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you work in the industry, it's very important to have a life outside of it, you know. My life isn't just fishing, so to get the balance of my own fishing, World Championships and a social life, it's hectic.
But to get into the position you are now, it all started at the British Young Carp Angling Championships only 4 or 5 years ago, so you've come an awful long way in a short space of time.
Yeah, it opened up so many doors for me. I met so many people from that weekend and, you know, long-term friends now, and, yeah, it's done me good.
But it's not just match angling. Check out that. Tell us a little bit about that beast.
Yeah, that's a very, very special fish for me. It's from Gigantica, a fish called the Immaculate, and you can clearly see why.
Really? Why is that? It's absolutely perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, we went on a mate trip with work, and I come out last in the draw, and I was kind of sulking for the first 24 hours, didn't fish, baited up, and then caught that. You
can always tell when it's a heavy fish, because everyone tries to look like it's really easy, but everyone gets that vein right down the middle of their head.
I've got 3 of them and go very red, so luckily the makeup's getting rid of that.
Super, good. Now, we'll catch up with that a little bit later on. Well, Jake and I met up for a session at Walthamstow Reservoirs last week. It's a place that we both know really well, and it's home to some stunning fish of all different species. No surprise, though, we were after the carp. Jakey boy, this is the venue we've picked.
Yep.
And this is the day we've been given. It's far from carpy, is it?
It's not, yeah. Cold, northeasterly wind that's...
Yeah, it's the first one of the year we've had, really, and this morning was like 6 degrees when I turned up, so it's not ideal. What's the plan? Get a bit of gear out?
Yeah, mate,
over the top?
Yeah, well, I've spoken to a few people that have been fishing here, you know, recently, and everyone's been putting bait in. You know, there's a lot of fishing here, they're hungry. Normally, I'd walk around and find the fish, but, you know, that seems to be the way on here.
Yeah, this tends to be a good wintry area, doesn't it? And it's certainly the first day of winter today.
Yeah, you've got the main island there with loads of snags and loads of features where the fish are going to hold up.
Right, well, I'll get into my swim and start getting a bit of gear ready.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Right, today I'm fishing tight to an island, so as you can see over my shoulder, the island's absolutely littered with snags and loads of different canopies where the fish are going to be holding up, so I want to get as tight as possible. Now, how I'm going to do it, at the start of the session, I'd get just a plain lead. I wouldn't put a rig or anything on that, just to risk losing it in the trees. So to start with, you want to cast out, but you don't want to go as tight as possible to start with. You want to crawl to the island. Right, okay, so now, as you can see, I flicked it out there. It looks like it's about a rod length short. So all I'm going to do now is walk back there and let off roughly a rod length. You can't be too precise. And then get it back in. You might think, you know, making, you know, say several casts before you're actually fishing, you might spook the swim, but it's worth making the extra bit of effort and disturbance to get it bang on. As you've seen, I've slowly crawled towards the island, walking back, clipping it up, recasting, wrap the line around the distance sticks, put your line marker on, and then you're set for the session then. Right, so that's bang on now. So, as you've seen, I've slowly crawled towards the island, walking back, clipping it up, recasting, and now it's absolutely spot on.
Well, I'm just about to have a slow pack up. It's not happened here, and on a venue like this with so many fish, if you've not got bites in the first couple of hours, then two things. They're not either feeding or you're not on them, and I don't think we're on them. So, like I said, slow pack up, give it another quarter of an hour here, and then we're going to go for a move, see if we can find them.
Right, as you can see over my shoulder, Dean's already moved on. He's moved down to the other part of the island where, to be honest, it does look a lot more favourable now. I'm going to give it an extra 20 minutes or so because I've just put one right into the canopy where hopefully there's a few fish sitting. So give it a little while longer and then I'm going to have a move too. Quick. Well, how about that then? Literally, just about to reel in a minute's time. Sat by the rods and the middle one's just absolutely torn off, so well worth staying. Even though I've hooked it at, I think it's about 115 yards, it's still pulling back, so it might be, hopefully it might be a decent size, but it doesn't really matter. The first fish of the day is always very, very, very welcome. Just like buses, they all come at once. I've got double take now. Dean! Right, now we're in a pickle. When this happens, obviously if there's someone near you, it makes life a lot easier, but Dean's down the bank, he can't hear me. And I've got two fish on, so I've got a different stance going on at the minute. That's all I can do. But this one now is coming in closer, so as long as I keep a tight line on the other one, he should be all right.
Well, talk about being in the right place at the right time. My rods have literally been out about 3 minutes, but as I speak, Jake looks like he's in a bit of a pickle down there. I actually tried to wind one of my rods in to go down and help him out, but my second rod, the one that I hadn't got in, just ripped off with this. So whether it's the time of day or not, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing, it's like holding a block of ice. Woo!
Oh, it's a nice comment. Come on, fish. Give it up. Right. Go on. Go on. Right, there's number one. Let's deal with number two. After all that, it's dropped off right at the net. Oh well. At least I've got one in the net anyway. And there we have it. What a little bar of gold. This was the one that didn't get away. Sadly, we did lose one, but can't work out what's been going on. I've not seen one fish show all day. No one else seems to have caught, apart from myself and Dean, and it just seems really bleak, and it's like the fish are just coming round in shoals. I just need to get this one in. And it looks like the light's fading.
Jake, I was just getting excited because I knew it was bite time, but I was hoping it would be my rods that went off. It's been a grueler, isn't it?
It has, mate. It's been really hard work.
We've literally got to be off the venue in half our time, so if this goes in the net, mate, I think we should call it a day.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I lost feeling in my fingers and my face and my feet, everything that begins with F. I can't feel. Oh. Over the spotted area again.
It was, mate, yeah.
Looks like the one I had earlier.
Nice. That's a proper fat one, that.
Yeah. I had a football too. Come on. Come on, son, I'm not going to scoop you. Oh,
Lovely, thank you
Mr.
very much, sir.
Wildbore, that is why you are an international and I'm just a splodger. Good man. Well, mate, when people say breeze block carp and they were this wide and this deep and not quite so long, that must be what they mean.
Yeah, it's a proper chunk, isn't it? That's it.
It's a bit weird shape, but it's a carp nonetheless, and we've had a really gruelling day, freezing cold, free fish when most other venues wouldn't fish.
No, that's right, mate. It's been hard going, but always good fun, isn't it?
It is, mate. And it's not quite the social session that I was after, but I promise you, when I take you up to the Y in a couple of days, it'll be a little bit more fun.
Okay, brilliant. Looking forward to it, mate.
Good lad. It always looks a little bit warmer on telly, doesn't it? But I genuinely couldn't feel my fingers at the end of that. I was so glad someone had a bite.
No, I think we made enough excuses for the day. We normally do.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, that wind was pushing left to right. I mean, I mean, you was casting 115. I started off at like 105 yards. And when you're fishing within 3 or 4 foot of the island, because our information was that it didn't matter whether you jammed them up tight or you just came half a rod length off. They were both producing, but nothing really produced for us, did it?
No, it was really hard work. But when there's no fish showing, what have you got to go on? You've got to go on, you know, knowledge from other anglers that have fished it, and they've caught well, and they were saying that's the thing to do, so...
And I spoke to one of the bailiffs when we left, and apparently those were the only 3 fish on the entire complex that got caught. So I'm not blowing our trumpets, but yeah, we did all right, my friend, we did all right. But we didn't look at the rigs. We will look at the rigs a little bit later on, but we kept it ever so simple.
Yeah, that's the key. Just find where the fish are, sharp hook, good hook bait.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And my old mate, Nigel Bothy, said to me, he said, never move off feeding fish. And so when I made that move, I didn't know what to do because we knew we was in the right area that always produced the bites during the winter. But in the first 2 hours, if you haven't had bites when there's well over 1,000 fish in there, we had to sort of spread out.
Yeah, and I was literally about to bring that rod in, so... You know, it's a good job I didn't pull it away from the fish's mouth.
Right, well, it's better to be lucky than good, and I've got to say, mate, you was good and a little bit lucky on that day, so... Welcome back. Top young carp angler Jake Wildbore is here today. And Jake, we saw in the VT beforehand, you kept things very, very simple. This is the actual rig that you used.
Yep.
Now, you was fishing at range. So there's certain rigs that you use when you're fishing at 100 and 100 yards plus. Talk us through it. Yeah,
well, this is basically a helicopter setup, so from the start...
Hair up there, I'm ever so sorry. Look, can't have that for a carp angling show. Look at that, there we go. That's much neater.
Yeah, so to start with, I've just got a kind of out-the-bag wafter with a liquid attractor that's soaked into it, so that's constantly kicking out, you know, smell, and obviously visual aspect as well.
Yeah.
And then moving down, got a crank hook.
Which is it's a really sort of weird circle-shaped hook.
Yeah, it's offset and it's got beak points, so there's no need for, you know, rig ring, shrink tube. The hook does the job for you.
Yeah.
It basically does everything. So then a 20-pound coated supple braid, though.
Right. Quite short.
Yeah, it is short because of the heli system. That basically, if you're fishing into silt, you can put it higher. So if you think the silt's kind of a few inches, that hook link will sit on top and the lead will bury into the bottom.
And also when you're fishing up tight to islands, you've got all the debris from the trees and things like that. So even though we're fishing on quite hard bottoms, because the fish do eat there a lot, there's still lots of snags over there.
Yeah, that's right. So you need a presentation that's going to be sitting on there. You don't want to be buried amongst the leaves.
Exactly. Right, what about the leader and stuff like that? Because that is one hell of a contraption just above the lead.
Yes, basically that's a heli dropper. So... you don't have to drop the lead every time. There is, you know, a little clip inside, which if you don't need to, you don't have to.
So if I almost imitate a fish
bang,
shaking its head, wallop, that hit me right on the leg. Could have used a smaller lead, mate.
But yeah, basically, you can cast as far as you like. We've tested these to the max and they do not break. So the lead clips on, and as you can see, when the fish pulls, the lead can come off. Yeah. Which, you know, is 100% safe. And as you move up, you've got the no trace bead as well, where if you're unfortunate enough to get cut off or crack off, the fish is towing the rig,
that pops off, and that doesn't even slide up above the leader knot, does it? That literally drops off.
And then the rig's free. You know, every rig that you put out there has to be safe.
Yeah, that just pulls right the way over like that.
So...
Gosh, and that's straight off.
Yeah, but that's my simple kind of take everywhere.
I've totally demolished it. I'm ever so sorry. There's bits everywhere.
But yeah, if I'm in my fishing, I'm walking around looking for fish. So I want a rig that I'm 100% confident in, where if I see a fish show, cast to it, I'm fishing, you know, within minutes, especially if you're on limited time. And
it was weird because we know them fish at Walthamstow live and feed right up tight to the island a lot of the time. But when we got there, first knock-ins, we saw nothing up tight to the islands. Everything was sort of 15, 18 foot off, maybe even 18 yards, 20 yards off the island, wasn't it? So they were showing in no man's land, really.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's typical this time of year. It's hard work, but put the effort in, hopefully get the results.
Right, we've got a second rig here as well. Now,
Yeah.
I love all this stuff. I'm a very, very simple, basic carp angler, and I try and keep it simple right the way through all my fishing. But I love you guys because it's like a Formula One car sometimes.
Well,
this is for a totally different purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's for fishing on hard bottoms. Now, we've seen on our underwater DVDs that is just a really, really effective rig. It's called the cog system for the centre of gravity, because as you can see, a normal lead clip setup, your rig would be coming from there, and you're missing out the lead. So as the fish picks up the rig, it's picking up the lead clip and all that. Like
There's movement there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I use a lead clip for 90%, 100% of my fishing, in fairness. I try not to change.
But this, as you can see, is picking up at the heaviest part. So even on an inline lead, you're picking up from the back end of the lead.
So if I lay that on the table just like that, as soon as the fish picks it up, that is literally lifting the entire lead. It's not lifting one side, then the other. It's the entire lead up at the same time, which maximises the bolt effect.
That's it. And like we say, from the underwater, I've got the evidence that it really does work. It's amazing. With a stiff hook link on a hard bottom, there's no better presentation.
Yeah, and then but for the safety aspect, that little swivel pops out, turns it into...
just a normal lead clip setup.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's dead simple, really.
Nice one. And you just fish that with a little bit of tubing above it?
A little bit of tubing, yeah. I always have some, one, for anti-tangle purpose, and two, when you're playing the fish, that's rubbing up and down its sides, so just to stop lifting the scales.
But that's for much more harder bottoms, though, that you wouldn't take that and cast it anywhere.
No, that's where I have the heli system for that, you know. But if I'm fishing in Oxford, you know, a lot of clear areas where it is rock hard, then that presentation's perfect.
Nicely led on, because I have a question here from Dave Penkiff, and he says, I'm planning to do a session, maybe a week long, around Christmas at Oxford, at Orchid Lakes.
OK.
Sorry, so home of the 30s.
Yes,
run by Marsh Pratley. Lovely little place. What do you suggest?
This time of year, and most of the times, it's all about location and finding the fish. You know, they're going to start shoaling up, so it's really, really important to locate where they are and always take some maggots. You know, they're going to start slowing down, you know, their immune systems are, you know, slowing up, and you need something that's easy to digest for them, so maggots are the key, so... You've
done a fair bit of time in Oxford as well, just to reiterate, easy for me to say, not irritate, that is a beast that you caught. That's a known fish as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a fish called Scar, which, you know, there it's £39 too. It's now 49, which is just unbelievable, where it's only, you know, a few months away, but it's just such a character, and, you know, It's bottom lip, it's overslung mouth, it's just beautiful.
It's such a dark-looking beast, and that's the sort of colour that they tend to be in Oxford.
Yeah, I fished Oxford from the juniors, and growing up in Leicester, it was a place to keep going back, and I still do now. Even living in Essex, I have to make the drive there.
It's a nasty drive as well, let me tell you, if it's round the M25, and the A40 ain't that brilliant, especially through Oxford, because they're all out the other side. Now, you mentioned hook baits, you mentioned the wafter at the start. Chuck us a few of your hook baits over, because pop-ups seem to be the sort of in craze at the moment for big fish. I always tend to use sort of little trimmed-down snowmen, but right in between that, the fad at the moment as well seems to be the little wafters. And you've got some there that, trust me, I know smelly vision's always been one of the jokes that we've used in the bovvy, but I'm so glad you can't smell this, because it's awful, mate.
Yeah, they stink. Well, some are fruity, some absolutely
That ain't fruity, I'm telling you, mate. That ain't no fruit in there.
But, yeah, this one's one of the new crab ones, so it's basically soaks right in. If I break that open, you can see where before it was just an original, you know, plain wafter, which out of the bag, great for catching carp, but, you know, that's something a little bit different. That will basically leak out smell and attraction where the fish can taste it as well. So I know what you'd be like if you could taste it. You'd be eating it.
I'd be caught every day of the week if I was a carp, mate.
So I always take a variety. The problem is you take too much, but I have like the select few that are my favourites, and you know, I'm confident in.
Wafter-wise, how do you have them sitting? Because the way I've fished them quite a bit in the past, actually, in the last year, I like them to sit with the sort of the hook flat on the floor, if you like, and the bait literally just hovering. Other people like it where the hook point is just wafting off the floor and it's like really critically balanced. I actually want it to sort of sit like a free offering, because I fish them over free baits if I'm sticking baits out, you know, creating a spread of boilie, if you like. I don't want them to be wafting around. I always get paranoid about foul-looking fish.
Yeah,
I shouldn't, but I'm never on enough to foul-look them, in fairness.
No, with the importance for me is that it's slow sinking. In all my rigs, I say, you know, if I'm fishing a tiger nut, or I'll put a bit of cork into slow sinking. Like you say, as long as that hook's sitting flat and that bait's just sitting up, you know, it's good to go.
Superb. You mentioned tiger nut. You've got a nice little, very crafty rig here, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the actual rig that you caught that beautiful Oxfordshire Scar mirror on earlier on. Tell us about this one, because I mean, I like to tie neat rigs, and I keep them really simple, but I'm not being funny. I could sit there for weeks on end and not get it like this. Why would you fish this hook link over the others?
It's because it was, I was fishing on rock-hard, clear bottom.
Right.
And those fish have seen every rig in the book.
Yeah. During the winter, the water clears up as well, obviously.
That's it. So you need something that's, invisible, really, and, again, something that resets itself. But, I mean, the main thing is, on the crank hook again, I've just got a simple knotless knot. So that bit's simple, but all I've done is an Albright knot and then a little bit of putty covering that. 1, to knean it up, and 2, as that supple bit enters the mouth, that little bit of putty helps pull that down.
I've noticed 2 things. 1, and I don't know why it's been so slow for me to notice this, you've got the same hook on every single one of the rigs.
Yeah, I mean, I come across them last year, early part of last year, where we started testing them. And it's hard to... If you're using a hook like the Wiregape that I've used for years and years, and someone says, try this, then, it takes a lot. So I took it to a few, smaller day ticket waters and then started using it in my own fishing, and touch wood, I've only lost 1 fish on it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, sorry, 2.
If I keep saying really, will it keep going up? Keep going up?
Yeah, 2.
But also, you said about resetting itself. Now, what you mean is, and we know that you get picked up all the time, and fish reject the baits and they waft around. What you mean is, if they pick it up and they disturb, not necessarily the lead, but the hook bait, that it resets itself, and the hook bait is critically balanced enough and the hook link is stiff enough that it kicks itself back out, so it's ready like a claw all the time. Yeah,
I mean, when I'm testing my baits, which I always do before I cast out, I get bored of watching them. They move down that slowly. You want
like paint dry.
Yeah. But yeah, when the fish come in feeding, you want it to act just like the free offerings. Otherwise, they'll know something's up.
And how much sort of bait are you putting out this time of year? Because it's, these rigs obviously do the business, but, the baiting strategy is so important.
See, the bait and how much to put in, and if you've put enough in, is like the million-dollar question. Like, say, take the Stowe, for example. Those fish were clearly moving around in shoals.
Do you think we put too much out?
I don't think we did. Right. Because when the fish came in, obviously I had a double take, you had a fish, within space in a few minutes. It was clear that a big shoal of fish had come round. If there's, say, 20 fish, if you've put a little bit of hemp and maggot and corn out or something, they'll clear that up within minutes.
Mate, there was only shoals of 1 coming round in my swim, let me tell you. But it was a fantastic day, and we'll have to do it again very soon. Welcome back to Tight Lines. In case you didn't know by now, chasing barbel is one of my absolute favourite styles of fishing, and having spent a fair bit of time on the bank with Jake this year, I knew he'd never caught one. So I wanted him to experience the thrill for himself, and to do that, there was only one choice of venue in my mind, the superb River Wye just outside Hereford. Well, Jake, this is the swim, my friend, and that is one savage river at the moment. Let's get our gear sorted, and then we'll come up with a game plan, yeah?
Yeah, no problem, mate.
Good man. Right, let's do it. You're not going to loose feed anything at all today, because I just don't think with this cold water coming down they're going to be feeding an awful lot, so we want to home them in onto our hook bait. So what goes into the feeder is literally, that's all that's going to be going through the swim. The feeder mix is really, really dense as well. Lots of big particles, so it's not going to push right the way downstream very, very quickly. So literally hitting the dinner plate size spot every single time. Okay. But you're going to have to pay in this sort of conditions. You have to pay a big bow of line out. So
cast it out, feed it down, then pay off some line.
Absolutely. Don't shut your bail arm until you've actually felt that feeder hit bottom, but at the same token, hold bottom. We want to know that it's going to be right there exactly where our feed is going to be.
Rather than spreading it about.
Exactly, so. There you go.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Go on. Wind down, wind. Keep winding.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. You have to wind down like crazy and you feel like you've missed it.
I don't know what was going on there.
You were. Do you know what I mean? It's because you played out such a bow of line, you've got to pick that line up right. You're going to have to go for a wander, mate. Yeah, you go for a wander.
I'll go for a
walk. Oh, yes. My old boy's got his first barbel on.
Bizarre.
Mate, I told you just have to keep winding. It's blind faith. And that's the best part about paying out a massive bow of line on a big river like that, is because you just think to yourself, oh no, it must have been a twig or something.
And then bang,
and then wallop, exactly. You just get a massive great thump. It's a baby, but it's a barbel.
A baby barbel. I'm still getting beat up by him. Get out.
on, son.
Go on.
Go on, son.
Get in.
The man. Mate, it's not the biggest fish in the Wye, but
It's
that is
not.
an absolute perler.
Mate, I wasn't expecting the bite like that.
No, nor me in truth. I told you I was a better guide than I was an angler, but mate, it's just proof. If you put it in the right place and you give them what they want, it's easy,
You
really.
get
Isn't it?
results like this, look at him. Well, hopefully.
You get a big one of that.
Hopefully.
He says. Right, let's get it back in the water. But before that, I'm going to take some snaps for you.
Lovely. Now, one thing I do know about barbelling is you got to give them plenty of time to recover before you take them out of the water and as you're putting them back. So as you can see there, it's out in the flow, facing upstream. So the last thing you want to do is if you put it back in this environment and it's not ready, like fully recovered, it's obviously dangerous. So fish safety is absolutely paramount. So you always want to make sure it's ready to fight another day. Good to go?
Yeah. Good thing about a dirty great 4-ounce feeder like that is they know it's there, don't they? That's it.
Yeah, it's not very subtle, is
No.
it?
If it holds for the first 90 seconds, then it's normally pretty good. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's happened there?
The feeder just didn't settle. No, it's not settling.
See, how do you know that's not a bite? Is because the bite was
Yeah, the
quicker.
bites are savage when they go round. Right, okay, wind that in, mate, because that's going to...
There's a fish there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? I thought it couldn't possibly be a fish because... Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. I thought it couldn't possibly be a fish, it was too quick.
There's definitely a fish there.
Feel a better fish?
It does, yeah. This one's staying deep and just...
Yeah, that's good.
It's almost like it's just sat in the flow.
That's
just
good.
like...
Well, the thing is, the way barbel are built is that generally the faster the flow pushes, like a Formula 1 car, where the air pushes over the Formula 1 car and pushes it down into the ground, that's exactly what the water does with a barbel on the deck. So, and that's what happens with the big ones. They tend to stay a lot deeper and a lot slower, just like carp. That's it. Drop it down. Here we go.
Get in. Yeah.
2 in the net.
Thank you, sir.
There we go, mate. Accuracy is the key to your carp fishing. It's the key to barbel fishing as well, especially on flooded rivers like this, keeping it on the money. And, mate, perfect then, actually. Yeah, there's something on there.
That's a fish, isn't it?
No, that's a big tree. Well, we're in a bit of a predicament. We had a little bang, and then a dirty great lump of tree came straight through the line, and I think Jake's been able to get rid of the tree, but we got a barbel one. We didn't even know. They are nailing it so quick in these conditions. We certainly found a little hole that they like, so I sent Jake downstream to get rid of the tree, and he shouted up, "I've got one on!" That was sweetheart.
Get in. Well, that was bizarre.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
And there we have it. A little baby. Lovely little fish.
Beautiful.
5 casts,
Free barbel.
3 barbel.
It's ridiculous. Challenging conditions, but, mate, doing a brilliant job. Oh, mate, bang. The bites ain't 4-foot twitches here because we're playing out that big bow of line. They're literally just like thumps on the tip, and then they spring back. And that's when, as you found out, you've got to wind like crazy to pick up the slack.
Well, yeah, you think that slack's gone down in the flow.
Yeah,
so.
you probably got to wind in 7 or 8 yards of slack. Yeah, that's on.
And we're in.
Yeah. You see what I mean? It's so subtle, isn't it? But the bites are slightly sharper.
Yeah.
Kicking, yeah?
Yeah.
Good man. Don't give him too much respect, mate. Just keep him off. Try and keep him off the floor. Tell how powerful that flow is because they're kiting in, aren't they? And barbel generally hold station mid-river, if not swim upstream. And there ain't much swimming upstream in this, my boy. Just lower him down. Just drop him down into the net when he's ready. No rush, no rush. There we go. He's in.
Lovely stuff.
And that, I was going to say a number, but I forgot. It's been frantic. That, my friend, is a good day's fishing.
Very good.
Right, Mr. Wildbore, what is your barbel personal best?
Officially, I haven't got one.
So 0?
0.
Oh, so you know it's going to be a good one then? You know it's going to be a PB? Right.
26?
It is now... Oh, I'm going to be tight and give you £7 on the button.
Oh, really?
Right, it's between 7 and 7.1. I can't stop shaking, but it's £7 on the button.
Here we have it.
That's a belting, that is. Yeah, good. Yeah, go on. Wee. Try and keep your head up, mate.
Scrapping. Oh, no, doesn't like you. Seen your ugly mug before.
There we go. Good lad.
Lovely. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, my friend, I thought with the conditions that we'll be faced with today, cold water going down, it might be a bit of a struggle. It's far from a struggle.
No, it certainly hasn't been. It's been, mate, I've really, really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot.
Right, boy, get this one back, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to get that rod out myself and get a little bit of a pull. Superb day, that, Jake, wasn't it?
It was, mate. It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've been gagging to do it for a long time, so thanks for taking me.
Well, I've got to say thank you to Adam Fisher from Angling's Dream as well, because he sorted that out at late notice, and those conditions that were difficult on Walthamstow, the southeast, or the northeasterlies, it was still the same, the wind-wise and the temperature, but we just had an extra couple of foot of water, and those barbel just wanted to feed at exactly the right time. I mean, some of them bites made us look silly, really, because we didn't even see them.
Well, if you actually seen the amount of sticks and trees flying down the river, you'd understand. But it was, you know, if I'd turned up there, obviously a river novice, just putting the feeder out, never would I have paid off all that slack. It was like, well, what's going on here? And then obviously...
Paying out the boat line, it's such an attractive, sexy way of getting the bite, because you have to. It is literally a blind leap of faith. You have to wind down so long, and then you feel the fish. And that first fish was a perfect example. You thought it was off twice.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but yeah, great fun.
But I've got to say, you did really, really well. Have I converted you?
Yes, very much so. I mean, we went chub fishing, was it a year ago?
Yeah.
So
on a tiny little stretch of the River Chelmer with snow on, you caught a chub about ½ pound.
And it sparked a fire, which, you know, I need to put some effort in over the winter. But when you've got limited time, you know, I want to go carp fishing, but it's bad. I need to spend more time river fishing, which I will, I promise.
Superb. Well, I'll make sure you do it. You can come down next time I have a trip, but this time I'm definitely going to make it.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, I'm afraid. Please keep those questions and young angler photos coming in by email. And remember, you can follow what's going on here on the website and on Twitter. Jake, it's been fantastic having you on, mate. Wasn't so bad, wasn't it?
No, it was all right.
You have to owe me one. Andy Ford will be in the hot seat next Friday, and his guest will be John Bailey, one of the most respected anglers in the country and start of the new series, Fishing in the Footsteps of Mr Crabtree, currently on Sky Sports. Join them at 7 o'clock on Sky Sports 3. That's next week's show with Andy Ford and guest John Bailey, 7 p.m, Sky Sports 3. And don't forget, the show is also available every week on demand in the Sky Sports section of Catch Up. Have a great week wherever you are and whatever you're fishing for, and tight lines. Pull it there, Master.
Cheers, mate.
Well done, mate.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.